Literary analysis. Which is what we're talking about in high school, right? So you need 3 parts. You need 1, you need evidence. This looks like quotes. And then you need to talk about the author's choice. So this is 2 parts. You have to talk about literary devices such as metaphors or similes. And then you have to answer the question, why are they using it? Why did they make this choice? Okay? And that's a little tricky. So then what they're actually asking for is for you to either talk about the impact on the reader, so then how does the reader feel? What are they supposed to think about? What are they supposed to change? Extension cord? Take it. Good. Okay. So then the impact on the reader is one way. So this is the question, how is the audience supposed to interpret this? How are they supposed to understand it? I'm going to give you an example at the end of this. So you talk about the author's choice, right? Now, you're going to do this like 3 times. Usually about 3 times. Okay, so you have 3 different quotes, and then you talk about the author's choice 3 times. When you've done this about 3 times, so do it 3 times. You, as a reader, are supposed to build an idea of the message. What is the author's total message? Okay? And that involves finding a pattern that leads you to the author's message. Okay? And this is usually simpler than you think. So you got to identify what the author is trying to do. Usually the author's doing something like exploring a topic, right? Or they're criticizing something. You guys okay with criticize? Criticize means they're saying something's wrong with it, right? Criticize, explore, or they can portray something, which means show something. Okay? It's usually something simple like that. So they're exploring gender roles in Nigeria, right? You got a crash course into what it's like for this woman in Nigeria. And in some ways it's not great, right? So then that's an exploration. Would you say she's criticizing Nigeria? Not really. She's not negative. She's not hating men. She's not hating Nigeria. She loves both of them, but so we wouldn't say criticism, right? So we can start to build out a pattern. She is not criticizing in this case. Is she portraying something, showing something? Kind of, right? So we know she's definitely exploring it. She's showing those things. So then the author's message is basically just an active verb, an action verb. What is the author trying to do, okay? An advertisement is different. For an advertisement, they're trying to sell you something, right? But if we're talking about exploring or portraying, then all 3 of these quotes and evidences should fit under this, okay? I noticed the kids in the back are listening to me. Is this helpful to you? Okay, I'm glad. So then what you are doing for your preparation, can you pull out the sheet, Genta, so I can see it? This one. Okay. So this has 3 boxes because you are finding 3 quotes. So you're gonna find 3 quotes, okay? In general, for English, your quotes are 3 lines or less. Okay? Grammatically, that has an effect. If it's more than 3 lines, you have to do something called a block quote, which they do not teach at CA at all. So, but it's improper. So if you do that in the university, you're in trouble. So then, block quote is you're gonna pick a quote. So out of your 40-line excerpt, you need to find 3 small quotes. Okay? So in your box, sorry, you put in a quote, and then you name any literary devices. Now, you need to know about literary devices to examine them, and that's why you don't do this until 9th grade. For example, what is a metaphor? Or a simile? Can we find one in the speech real quick? Not a lot of literary devices in here. We're gonna make up one. So if you say, the only one I can think of in English is a bad word in it. Let's think of one. Okay, he had a beastly appetite. Let's say that, right? A metaphor compares 2 unlike things. That's what it does. So in this, if we are examining this metaphor, what is being compared? Yes?
Like his appetite with other people, and then so it's more like he eats more.
Hold on. Say that one more time.
He eats more than other people.
That's true. That's what he's saying. So he eats more than other people. But what is being compared here? Beast to who?
No more people.
No, he, beast. So he, the person, he is compared to a beast. Why a beast? Why not a tiger? Why not an animal? Right? Beast has a positive or a negative connotation. Usually negative, unless you're speaking about positively. It depends on the story, right?
Yeah.
If we say beast mode, that's a metaphor, and that's usually a positive thing. But if you say a beastly appetite, it could depend on what the rest of the story is. So you take this little piece out of this imaginary story, and you build it up with the other 2, and then you build an idea, right? So we have here that he is being compared to a beast. And then I can say, I know from the rest of the context that this author does not like beasts, and he does not like this character. So he is, we would say he is like not human. If you say someone is not human, that's usually not a nice thing. Right? Yes?
That thing's not on the video.
Oh yeah, it isn't.
Too late. It's already happened. Okay. So then, this is fundamentally what literary analysis is. Okay? So we are starting that today. You need to pick 3 quotes. And since this week we are not doing so much literary devices, you're then going to identify ethos, pathos, logos. Let me see it again. Right? So then you say, she said this, blah, 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 blah. And then it is pathos. And then we are talking about gender roles, right? So then this is the trick. How is it connected to gender equality? And remember, this is not about what you think gender equality is or what you personally feel about gender equality. you're supposed to figure out what she is talking about, right? Okay? This is not about your opinions. It's about what hers are. They're trying to figure out if you know that. Yes?
So in the first box, like the first box is, we
Yeah.
supposed to write about the pathos, like the quotes.
Yeah, you can see, you examine the words. So this is the quote, this is what she's talking about, this is what it means. It's a pathos argument, or it's an ethos argument, right? Is she arguing based on trying to make you feel a certain way? Or is it both? Is it a little bit of logic? Is it ethos, like she's asking you to trust her? So then if I do an ethos argument, I could say, look, I've been a teacher for 12 years and I know a lot about the IB, so you should trust me. That's not a logical reason to believe me. You just have to believe that I'm good at my job, right? That's ethos. That's not logos, right? So then she could be doing the same thing. Like, I'm a woman, I know. That's an ethos argument, right? Okay. So then you try to examine the quote here. Then you're going to try to connect it to gender equality. What is she saying about gender, or girls or boys? I can see two paths this week. You can either write about what she thinks women should be allowed to do, or you can write about what she thinks about men. She talks a lot about boys and men in this. So you could easily completely cut out the female part of it and just focus on what this woman is saying about men, right? But you don't want to do both. It's a lot, right? 10 minutes seems like a long time until you start talking. Okay, gender equality. And then the last box is what is she trying to do? And that one's just because this is such a big focus point of the IO. What is she trying to do? Is she trying to change the whole world's ideas about men or women? Or is she talking to a specific audience? Who is her audience? Right? We have a hint about that. You know it because it's at the beginning of the author thing. It says where she did this speech. Right? Yeah. So I included that because it's important.
London?
That was not London.
I have like a random question.